Now, your father always shipped his milk out. He didn't ever...
Right.
Yeah.
Right here, right about here was where the last schoolhouse.
Right on this?
Right beyond the weeds right here. You set back about 30 feet probably.
Okay, and that was considered Keeney Settlement School?
Whitmarsh. That was the last closure for when Fabius centralized.
Okay. And our town line here.
Back up settlement.
So we're across the county.
Yeah. It's Corton County here.
Okay.
Right up here is a historical marker. Whitmarshes are... My ancestors came in 1790. There was half a dozen families. Revolutionary War grant. You better get over. They come flying up over the hills here.
Okay.
And this was... Whitmarshes were one of the original settlers, and this was their homestead here. This is 1796, it says. Still in the possession of the family. Well, no, it's not in the possession of the family. State, what's it say? Department, state what department? Education?
Yeah, boy, your eyes are better than mine.
State Education Department, I think.
Okay.
It was looks like 32, they put that site, I think the date.
Okay.
Let me get out, do you? Of course, it's not in the family now, but several generations lived here.
Okay.
Till the Youngses, well, the owner before Youngses.
Yeah.
But there was a whole bunch of these up through the valley.
And
there's only one left that I know of.
Okay. So now this is known as Marty Young's farm.
Young's. Yeah. Way Street Dairy.
Yeah.
Way Street. Used to be a lot of whey made on this street.
That was because of the cheese house?
Benny's car. And this is where he got the Way Street Dairy.
And my
original barn was right there where the weeds are. He tore that down a few years ago. It was a big fancy barn that day. He's going to turn in there, so. He's going to wait for you to get by.
So, am I better off stopping for or?
Well, it really matters.
Okay.
Whatever is easier for you guys.
Yeah. So this would have still been the Whitmarsh farm?
Correct. I'll show you the boundaries here.
Okay.
Right here, this fence is boundary above the road. 120 acres with the original farm. Of course, they've added on. Now everything south of here belonged to my grandfather at one time.
So that was a Keeney farm?
He bought it in 1918.
Okay.
This top field, that's an awful nice. We used to hay it with Whitmarshes were here, and the son-in-law took over from Howard Whitmarsh. You know Ann Lutke?
Yep.
Well, her father died in a tractor accident in 1965. Rolled the tractor over and killed him. So the son-in-law took over, Howard's son-in-law. But we used to corn it here, neighbors, they'd help us, blah, 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 but that's an excellent. It's what they call the sandbank. There's gravel underneath, but the top is very loamy, there's not a stone in the thing. It used to be those banks were all bare. Those are all planted locust trees by the conservation back in the 50s. That was a big, when they planted those rose bushes too.
Yeah.
But those are all locusts all the way around there. There's, I don't know how many thousands are in there, but there's some real nice fence posts in there, of course. But used to be pasture.
Yeah, I had never realized that locust was one of the planted.
Well, apparently because my grandfather's pasture. See, he sold in 1945. He sold this farm to the Whitmarsh. And the Whitmarsh would have been the great-grandson of the homestead up here, see. He didn't want to go in business with his father. His father, Frank, was still farming there.
But he wanted to keep them separate.
Yeah, well, he didn't want us to farm with his dad. Young children did that. They didn't go in business with their dad. You understand? Not like they do nowadays.
Yeah.
Because they want to stay small. See, that's what's ruined with the culture is big-itis, bigger, or get out. See.
But you would think that small people working together.
Yeah, but that's how they got the work done. But they wanted their individuality. That's different than the mindset today, Bill. The right half of that plowed field was pasture of my grandfather. It's wet there. Marty's done a lot of tiling, but it's still wet there. But these flats, all these flats there, Grandpa, Dad always said there's 100 acres there to the river and the road down here.
And this was still part of the Keeney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All this here. And over across the river, you can't see them, but there's 20 or 25 acres of prime tillable ground across the river there. Dad always told the story here on this flat. Of course, it's a nice piece of ground there, and their grandfather planted corn with horses. And the horses were blind, pair of mares. And Dad said those horses would listen to his command, and he says those corn rows would be straighter than what you and I could plant with tractors. It's almost a half mile down through there, not quite. When we used to corn it here, you can stop up here by the driveway. Used to be a barn right where this gazebo and mound, and it hooked on Hollister Whitmarsh's son-in-law built on that single-story barn that you see today. And it was a huge, grandfather built this barn because the owner that he bought the farm off from, the barn had burned in December with a lantern tipped over in the haymow. And the firemen couldn't get over here from Cuyler's, snow on the road, etc. And
What year would that have been?
About 1916, 1917.
Yeah.
Because Grandpa was living where we were, see. But so Grandpa had the barn built. And at that time, Cossett's sawmill was up here on Spicer's, is it Spicer's Falls and Ludke's?
Yeah.
They had a sawmill. There's not too many pictures of that sawmill. And it was local hemlock, and I can't tell you the length of the barn, but it had to be 125, 150 feet long. You look at that there. It goes from the gazebo basically back to the other barn.
And that's one of the aerial pictures we have of that barn.
Huh?
We have an aerial picture of that barn.
I'd like a picture of that
Yeah.
sometime. But anyway, so Grandpa hired it built, and the contractor was going to build it for $1,000 labor. This was 1918, 17, 18.
You don't remember the contractor, or don't remember hearing the name?
No, it was Cossett Lumber
Yeah.
at that time that owned the mill from Hamilton. They had Cossett generations down the line. Now they have a concrete cement business over there. But it's the same lineage. But anyway, long in August they had a windstorm. The rafters were about 2/3 up, and wind blew them down. And the contractor come back and says, well, geez, I gotta have more money because we gotta put these rafters back up.
Yeah.
Well, how much more you want? Grandpa said, $100. So for $1,100 they built this huge, that picture will have to go with this story. So.
Yeah. So.
Of course, I was only 3 months old when Grandpa died, so I don't even remember them. But this is what my dad's stories.
So your grandpa used the barn then and farmed out of it?
Oh yeah, until 1945. And then he was 75, and Grandma, they were getting tired. He was lame, and of course Dad was working up home. He didn't want to. Grandpa liked the big business. He'd be like Van Erden now.
Mm-hmm.
He milked 70 cows there at one time, which was in the 20s and 30s was huge. A lot of hired help.
And your father was running a separate business.
Huh?
Your father ran a separate business back at your farm.
Well, he bought the farm off Grandpa. Where I live is only 86 acres.
Mm-hmm.
That was one farm, and the heifer barn was 220 acres. So Grandpa sold him the 85 acres.
Yeah.
That's all Dad could pay for. He didn't pay cash. And that's another story too. Our farm, Walter Bennett and Dad were kind of close in age, good friends. Walter was 16, worked for my grandfather here. He was a local boy. And when he grew up, got married, he married a Davenport girl. And Walter wanted to farm it, so he bought the farm off Grandpa, and he was only there a year up where we were because his wife didn't like farming. So he sold it to Dad. So in theory, kind of been out of the family for a year, but But anyway, Eloise and Walter was a town highway superintendent for a long time, Cuyler. He and Eloise lived up here where Ann Lutke did. That was their home. That's who they bought it from when Eloise finally passed away. Eloise was sister to Ivan Davenport.
Okay.
And Harry Hall's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan was his brother, I'm sorry. Ivan, yeah.
Okay.
There's two girls and a boy that I knew of.
Mm-hmm.
So Harry's Hall wife, they had no children. And Eloise had one child, Bennett. And then Ivan, he had one daughter. And the granddaughter is Carol, correct?
Yeah.
And I can't think what her mother's name is. I should know. She liked that 9 math teacher there.
Yeah. And her daughter came Sunday and brought pictures of the Halls and the Davenports, so we have a lot of...
I'd like to see them sometime.
Yeah, so we'll bring those over.
I probably could identify Eloise, probably.
Yeah. So I had difficulty trying to interweave the different people together.
Local people, say.
Oh, yeah.
Marty Youngs lives there that owns the big farm. Mrs. Whitmarsh, after her son-in-law sold the farm to the Youngses, she had life use of the house, so she had an upstairs apartment, basically. Dad never wanted to, of course, he didn't want the big business. My grandmother, Grandpa's wife, she was more conservative, see, Andrews, and that's the way Dad and I are more conservative. But that's a big house there. And Dad didn't like it because he lived down here from 1918 till 1931, I believe. Why don't you drive straight down here?
Okay. I just wanted to be able to get a little more of the house there.
Got another marker down here. And this is where the Eloise Davenport Bennett lived. And Ann Lutke and her husband lived there. Stop here. Right up there.
Yeah.
Ann Lutke, she was a Whitmarsh before she married. And the sawmill was up that gulf. There's a 90-foot waterfalls up that gulf there. Kind of, you can see where the 2 tree lines bury there. You can access it up here on foot. I'm sure if you ask them first if their land, would be more than happy to let it.
Ann still lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
she's a year younger than me.
yeah. And her husband is still with her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He has some health issues, but well, she has too, but they're holding their own, so.
Yeah. So.
You can turn around or whatever.
Okay.
When my grandparents retired, they moved into this white house here. That was the Hobart. There was a barn right across in that driveway there, and that was the Hobart farm, the hill here. And
how would you spell that?
Hulbert.
Okay.
And this guy's going to put a deck all the way around. But anyway, stop right there a minute. Anyway, in 45, Grandpa had to get out of the house for Whitmarsh to move in, so Dad tells the story. This was a hired man's house for the Hobart farm, and it was pretty rough shape. And I know they had to fix it up, make it livable for the time being. But
So the Hobarts would have lived in a fancier house up here?
yeah, that house that's sitting there. But anyway, story goes this was an inn back in the 1800s, stagecoach inn. From Cortland, about 16, 17 miles, you see, and then go to Tully or whatever. And upstairs had what they call a ballroom. And that's had to be 30 plus feet long and probably 20 some feet wide. It was all one room.
Do you remember being up there?
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah.
But the story was somebody came through one night on a horse, a couple did, and they wanted to get married. Justice Peace was staying here, so he married him out the upstairs window, supposedly. That's a folklore. It's an old square house. We made a lot of improvement, and this guy that bought it, he's making more. But this little lot here goes with it. But it's an old house, old hand-hewed beams down in the cellar. But my aunt inherited it when her parents died. And when she retired from school teaching, go down right here, Bill.
Okay.
And when she retired in '67 from Long Island, Glen Clove, Long Island, she was a math teacher, homemade math teacher. She moved back. She wanted to move back, so she lived here until she passed away when she was 100. She graduated Syracuse University, and she taught trigonometry and calculus. This little creek here's got a story. It goes with this property down here. Potters were one of the original settlers, and the story was that when they started to diversify and spread out, when the original settlers came up the valley, one of them was Potters. Her and her husband moved down here. It's about 3 miles from where the original cabin is, and the wife got awful homesick. She sat down one day and was crying. And the husband says, "Well, what's the matter?" Well, she says, "We moved so far away from the other." She says, "Of course, it was all wilderness. There was no civilization." And he says, "I moved here because of that creek, source of water." And so he sent her back east on a wagon that was going back east. She went back east for a year or so and got over her homesickness. She came back, and I guess she never left. But anyway, it has to go with this historical sign here. But
Okay.
Eldridge's own this now, but that's the old man there. Hey, say, Rich.
Hey, what are you up to?
Oh, we're doing a little historical, looking at these signs here.
There you go.
How many years your family been here now? Since the 50s, correct? Your dad?
59, I think.
Okay.
58 or 9.
See, now who owned it before that? Never remember.
Dorwood.
Huh?
Dorwood was here.
Dorwoods?
Or Patrick.
Oh.
Mabel Patrick, he lived in Fabius.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, we're looking at the historical sign, so. How's Donna?
Hard to walk. She's doing good though. I mean, it's hard to walk.
We'll stop up and have a chit chat someday.
There you go. Well, I'll tell her. Take care, Jeff.
This is Potter Cabin. 1792, this was settled. See, this one's been repainted, see? So that's about the right timeline, see? 1790, 92, whatever. You can turn around now, we can go back or whatever. But the Eldridges own it, and this fellow's son lives over here. He's running the farm now, but
and they're one of the few grazing herds
Huh?
One of the few grazing herds left.
Yeah. He still feeds a lot in the barn. He first year or two he went grazing, he went seasonal, but they didn't stay there that long.
Yeah.
There used to be some huge locust trees there. I'm talking 30 inches or bigger than that. And they finally had to take them down. They got so bad.
Who would they ship their milk to?
DFA. Wherever it goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
They never record them. But it used to be Dairy Lee.
Yeah.
They're hard workers. Richie's the one that keeps the Fabius Cemetery mowed, the son. He's, I don't know, 46, 7 or whatever.
So does he have a landscape business or?
No, just a lawn mowing business. He does the Cuyler Park and Cuyler Sewer. Does the Cuyler Cemetery. I don't know. He used to have his brother help him some, but that's gone by the wayside, so he does most of it by himself. He got a son that's getting older, but.
So Marty lived here and Virginia lived upstairs?
Yeah.
At the same time?
Marty's daughter was living up, well, I guess she still is, but one of his daughters, and she bought a house over in Tully, beyond, well, the Tully Center, or somewhere. I don't know. Maybe, no, I take that back. State Street, South State Street.
Yeah.
They're remodeling it or something. She runs a daycare up school.
Oh, she's not on the farm.
No.
Yeah.
Her husband, see now, he's a teacher over Tully, is that right? Or teacher in Marathon.
Yeah. Now, has Marty done any haying?
No, not yet. He's kind of late with corn. Well, Potter does all the haying, so he's got to wait on them. Every year they get a little. They got to do the big boys first, you know.
Yeah. Like Van Erden has taken off his hay, and his alfalfa wasn't even 12 inches tall, and he cut it all. So
sometimes Marty does the grass, and then the alfalfa, the seedings. He doesn't have too many seedings. He's on a calendar basis. Used to be a big maple business on this farm when the wet marshes. They had a big maple business.
where was the house, the sap house?
Well, up here, Howard's father liked this sugaring business.
Yeah.
See, Frank didn't have a lot of woodland, see, boundary being right there. I remember when I was a kid, weekends you try to help them gather sap. Of course, when you're 14, you can't tromp around the snow with the deep buckets and, you know, just the experience of it, I guess.
With a horse?
No, tractor.
Yeah.
This was late 50s, you see. Ralph Teitz, the next owner after Frank retired, Ralph moved here in 51, 52, I believe. And he continued to sap it because Frank liked to boil even when he retired. And of course they burned wood, but they kept it up until Ralph sold the farm to Young's. That was into that sugaring business. But
they sold it all retail, or?
Yeah, I guess. Of course, how much they made, I couldn't answer that question. But when Frank Whitmarsh retired, that'd be Ann Lundke's grandfather. He moved into the hired man's house there. Frank came to my wedding, but he finished out his days there.
So where was the cheese plant here?
Well, there's one up there, heifer barn. I don't know whether
there wasn't one, right?
Could have been.
Okay.
This was another Whitmarsh, which would have been a cousin to the original ones. That was a Sears and Roebuck house, one of what they call prefab or pre-made or something.
Came in a rail car, probably.
I guess, before my day.
Now, Benny Needham said that he moved up off the farm to one of these houses.
The little one.
Okay.
With his mother. She rented it after she and Barry. This guy here, Clayton, which is Paul. There was Paul and Clayton Whitmarsh. Clayton was in World War I, I believe, and he was a bachelor, but he lived with his brother and wife. And he had a chicken business. They had a 2-story chicken house out back, and it was huge. And I remember trucks would come in with, you know, to move the chickens. I couldn't tell you how many chickens he had. Probably 500,000 maybe, which seemed like a lot to a young kid, you know, but 2-story.
Yeah.
It was quite a long chicken barn. And they had a brooder house. When Youngses took over, one of the kids is kind of my age, and we used to raise pheasants in that brooder house.
Huh.
Of course, the brooder house is gone, but
Pheasant, good business, was it? Or just
experience 4-H.
Yeah.
Well, we got $1 a bird.
Yeah. We got.
Thought that was big money. Of course, you could buy feed cheap. But
We going to talk about this place?
what is there to talk about? Line is here on this side and back there, but
Yeah.
see the big pine tree there. Great-grandfather Andrews planted them before 1900, and because he lived here before my grandpa Keeney moved here, and there used to be about 10 or a dozen of those pine trees, Norway spruces, that he planted along there, and that's the last surviving original tree. And I planted all those smaller ones to come along, but the others got old, blew down, got rotten, cut them down. So, but that's pretty good size down in the base. And up back, you can't see it from here, but great-grandfather liked fruits. The side hills were all planted with apples and pears. We used to have pear trees there and apples, and Dad always told the story about he used to market the fruit, put it on a train, local train, go to New York City, more or less, I guess. There's a grapevine up there, well over 100 years old.
So
we get grapes off from it every year.
So where would your train connection?
Cuyler.
Yeah.
Lehigh Valley, went to Cortland, and
Yep.
milk train. Used to run 2 milk trains there. 7 o'clock in the morning, and then at night, I guess, too. Or what? No,
So the cans went right directly on that?
Huh?
The cans went right on the train?
I guess.
Yeah. So you
There used
get.
to be a milk plant there. When Dad started in, he used to take his milk over there. He didn't. My grandfather used to go to Peoria, the league. Dad never wanted to get into the league. There's some stones there in the lawn there that got inscriptions on to the Andrews when they moved in. Flagstone from the hills.
So
The original barn was, you see the milk house with the shining roof up above it?
Yep.
That was the original barn from the shining roof back. It was a horse barn, never milked here. They used to milk over here in this barn, because this was 86 acres.
Yeah.
Never milked here.
So you had a milk house up here and everything? Okay.
So when Dad started farming here, as his family grew, he wanted more cows, so he added that shining roof 40 feet in 1940 when my sister was born. And then 1958 he added 50-foot round roof down to where that silage conveyor goes.
Yeah.
That would allow.
So how many cows in each section?
Well, it allowed us to keep 55, 60 cows.
Yeah.
And then in 81 I thought I was ambitious, so I added another 52 feet on beyond conveyor beyond there.
Yeah.
So that with this camp barn, this other white building, you can put 20 small calves, start them up in there. You could keep 100 head in there at that time.
Yeah. So the rafters in this, were they something special? That they make them on the site, or they
No,
ship?
they were, well, the original ones came from, I think, Wisconsin, but the rafters I got were Unadilla, made down here in Unadilla, New York.
So they-
laminated.
So you were able
Clear
to match?
span.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come out pretty close. It worked out real well. 36 foot wide, but the whole barn's 185.
So they come as one piece, or do they come? Two piece.
And they bolt them together at top.
Yep. So, who was your contractor?
The guy over Vesper lives right on Dutch Hill, corner of Dutch Hill and 80 there. Well, you hadn't asked me, I could have told you.
Okay. It'll come to you before we get too far.
He built another one addition for my relative over Cuyler, and there's one up on Route 20 up above Knapp's, top of the hill, round roof barn on the left as you're coming up. Dad and I went over to look at it. I remember going over to look at it with him, but
What'd your dad say about your addition?
the coverall.
No, your addition on the barn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my family was growing.
Yep.
Of course, everybody was picking on me. Well, you're going to keep going to the other barn? I said, no, this is it.
You want to talk about the beef operation?
Well, it's grazing hay farm basically. We used to raise corn silage. We got land all over. It's hard farm to work, but productive farm. Wet places
And we're used to seeing black Angus, but we're seeing pretty white.
yeah, those are Murray Grey, British White Park crosses. I wanted to be different when I started in.
Yeah. So what do we got? There's 2 calves running loose up there?
Well, there's another one this morning. I see. I told you I had 3 die on me this year.
Yeah.
I don't know whether got disease or whether just one mama, she didn't pay too much attention. That's side hill was all brushed at one time. Well, back up a little bit, Bill, just a few feet. Speaking of apple trees, my great-grandfather, see those 2 apple trees up there where I mowed? Those are the original trees back from 1900s. And one on the right, sometimes they what they call a early apple. They're a soft apple. They don't keep good, but the other one is like a transparent apple. They don't get very big there.
You don't know the names of them?
No.
Yeah.
Up above, there used to be an old northern spy tree up in the corner by the locust there, and that was a beautiful, make the best pies you ever saw. Yeah. But
probably the old map of the farm shows orchard there. And
you see, those 2 are kind of roll. It used to be, I bulldozed, there was several when I was a teenager in there, and they got old, fell down. We cleaned out. There used to be thorn apples up above those apples. I cleaned all them out with a bulldozer. We needed the pasture. Dad cleaned off a lot of it.
Yeah. Your dad had a bulldozer too?
No, he hired.
Yeah.
When bulldozers, of course, it was 50s before they kind of. Everything was done by hand before that. See, so.
So this barn, how'd you use that?
Well, this is not the original barn. I got a picture at home. I could show you, but the original barn, when my grandfather owned it, burned in 1925, got struck by lightning while they were haying it, and the story goes that lightning struck it while they were haying it, and so they called the fire company and they came up. There's a barn drive up there. You can drive right in the barn, and the firemen were putting water on it, and they thought they had it all out. They could see where it followed one of the beams down through, peeled off a bunch of wood, and Walter Bennett, which would have been Halloween Davenport's husband, he was in the firemen, and he was upstairs. I say he was friends with Dad and Grandpa, and Dad tells a story that somebody got the bright idea, let's go downstairs in the basement there, and we'll tear off a ceiling board and we'll shoot some water up there, thinking we can water on top, water on. Just a minute when they tore that board off, let the air, and she blew up. And they said Walter, just the men that were up in the haymow barely got out. It's a wonder they weren't. With a flash fire. But the original barn was 25, 30 feet longer than that one in the milk house.
So it had burned completely.
Yeah, couldn't save it.
Yeah.
So in 27 he built this one, my grandfather built this one. So there's no hand-hewed beams in this one, but second-hand lumber, but some of it. But
yeah. So this was the milking barn.
Yeah, the milk house, such as was right on this corner there.
Yeah.
The way He used to have a whey cheese house there right where the light pole was.
And that was for making cheese of just your own milk.
I don't know how much they...
Yeah. They
For
took
my
it.
day, Bill.
Yeah.
Dad never talked much about it.
Yeah. Did he remember any of it?
I couldn't tell you. Probably, yeah, because I got pictures. We got pictures of it there.
Okay. That'll be good with your talk. That'll fit in with your talk well. So.
Yeah. It was a fair-sized building. I know that there's all rocks and stuff in there, you know. In the original house, I got pictures. Well, there was a lilac bush there, and it was a 20 by 30 with a kitchen addition. Sat there between the trees, and across the road there was 2 barns. And one of them was a straw barn right here. We used to store baled straw heading upstairs and lean-to, and downstairs we'd store some machinery, dirt floor.
How big would that barn have been?
I'd have to show you a picture.
So you do
I'm going to say probably, barn was probably 50 feet long, and with the lean-to was probably 40 feet
And there's
wide,
no
so-
basement underneath it. It was just a
Yeah, well,
dirt floor.
dirt. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was a wood floor on the back part because of the grade out we used to back in here. But you could keep small machinery,
Yeah.
rake, plows, stuff like that. Of course, machineries. And we kept the straw upstairs. We'd drag them up here and toss them up. And
Yeah.
But the roof got bad. Wood shingle just got bad. So,
Yeah. So
and the fellow come along that wanted some lumber back in 68, 69 probably. And he tore more stuff down for the lumber. And next year I had my bulldozer. We used to have to go around here. There's probably half acre. The other barn, the foundation,
Yeah.
rubble, rocks. And wanted to be able to work this back in here. So I dug a pit here. And we burned up what we could in the rocks. And
Yeah.
I'm talking boulders. And pushed them in, I covered them up so they're underneath here, and then now it's clear sailing, see, so it's pretty near half mile long, this field.
Yeah. How many acres in this?
Those 2 side hill pieces, it's 5 and 5, 10, 35 acres, I guess.
Quite a piece of hay.
Weeds mostly. What's this pink weed there? So, don't take a picture of that.
Yeah.
So,
I use my phone to identify them.
that's what I showed.
But I don't have too many of those.
Oh, it needs reseeding bad. It's a productive field. It's just
Yeah.
I never get time to even use my seeder, you know. Our property goes way down to those dead ash trees down there on the river.
So those ash trees all died off from the.
Those are all Marty's now, but it's kind of just we could drive down there if you wanted. That's another story about that land down there. Remember, did I tell you how my grandpa bought that farm across the valley?
No.
Well, drive up a little, you can see the barn probably, if you want to get a picture. Grandpa, he loved to buy land, farms.
Now,
Wheeling,
give
dealing.
us your grandpa's name.
Walter.
Okay.
My father's name was John. I don't think you're going to be able to see them with the hay.
We might have to save that one for another day.
Now you can see the roof.
roof?
There.
So that's
you'd have to drive down there if you really.
Okay.
But anyway, this farm didn't have any river access to water cows, and Grandpa had a chance to buy that farm over there, that side hill and the farm, and there's a
What would you have called that farm? What would?
Tiley farm.
Okay.
And we have what we call the flat was on this side river. That is 17 acres of good ground, and that gully over there, there was a section of land there, and it was kind of broke up. It's kind of funny that this went with that, but it did, and whatever.
So this field?
No,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah.
I'd have to take you down to show you
Okay.
later. But anyway, he wanted water access, so he bought the farm, whole darn farm. And he kept it a year, and he kept off the land on this side of the river that he wanted.
And then he had a
sold,
chance to...
Then he sold the farm for $1,000 more than he paid for it. So,
so he got what he needed.
yeah. Plus he got $1,000 profit. So,
So
expanded the acreage for this farm. But he got the water.
Yeah.
Cows just get down there, permanent pasture. We had laneways, we had pasture divided in two there down there. And they have water access.
So would that be heifers or cows?
Yeah.
Both or? Yeah.
Cows originally, heifers were on the hill.
Yeah.
But when we got the issue crossing the road later years, we just keep dry cows or springing heifers down.
So that's a long hike to go get your cows when they didn't come.
I've done it many times.
Yeah.
A hot day, they'd always be down the river.
Yeah.
So you better start a half hour ahead of time.
Yeah. No four-wheeler at that time.
You just ride bicycles sometimes part way and push it back. But you'd hike it down through. That was part of the job.
And especially
Same thing with Grandpa. He used pasture over beyond those fields there, and Dad used to tell about. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get him to the barn. He wanted to start milking for the hard men at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. In the dark. Yeah.
Well, in summer times,
Did you ever remember going with a lantern down there or anything? No.
Electricity was in 32, 33 electricity came through, and Dad put it in.
Yeah.
These are original lines, most of them.
Yeah. Peter Slick says that they didn't get power up there till 55.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, enough one place, not enough demand.
Yeah. What about telephone? Telephone came before electricity?
I couldn't tell you. The boundaries where those trees are comes straight down here. And then over there where that stake is, over that black stake, this was part of this Finney farm down through here. Went straight, I guess, kind of, or something, I don't know. Plus there's pasture down below it, so we squared it. That goes right straight to crosses the river pretty near the East Keeney Road almost. Well, it borders the old town dump acre there, but then it cuts due south, borders Coosters. Of course, Marty owns it now, see. This is what you call a Kogut farm. They came here, they were Polish descent. They came here in the late 30s or early 40s, I believe.
And
these were all pasture. These trees, they weren't there. Same thing here, they weren't there. You wouldn't believe these hillsides were bare.
Yeah. So the Koguts had a barn here and ran this as a farm?
Yeah, they farmed it because they had big boys, they had a big family. The boys all grew up on the farm, they all moved off.
Yeah. The Kogut kids from Apulia tell us that their father was born in the barn down here.
Could be.
Yeah.
Stop when you get past this. Alright, the original barn, see the stone wall back by the barn there. The barn went south. And this was kind of an annex to the barn that was left there. And there were several chicken barns and there were several little barns around here.
So they did dairy and chickens?
Well, it wasn't a big dairy. The barn was probably about like my heifer barn. But anyway, Hurricane Hazel came through here in the early, 53, 54?
Or 52.
52,
yeah.
And it blew the barn off the foundation. So they never resurrected the barn, tore it down basically. So that was into their farming career basically. Of course the kids were getting grown up by then, see, so.
Yeah. So they didn't have the labor.
Huh?
They didn't have the labor to run the farm.
Well, the folks were older Polish,
yeah.
But they didn't speak a lot of English. But anyway, it's been sold now. Kogut, some of the descendants own 120 acres of the land, but the house property has been sold. It's just been resold. Todd's helper bought it. He's going to remodel the place. It's a huge, something like 14 rooms in there. They're small, but they're 10-foot ceilings downstairs.
Yeah.
Huge. But they're going to remodel and gut it. He's got to gut it and whatever.
Yeah.
the Bodmans lived here for many years. Who had it before?
Was it
them?
just the residents, or was it a farm?
Yeah, well, there was
Some land that went with it?
6 acres, but it was just swamp. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether the Waters is owned it at one time. Another older family, or been there multi-generations.
We were being told at the Historical Society meeting that Ivan Davenport used to have his hands full on this bus route, keeping.
At the Sabins. Right here was, well, there used to be a barn right in here. Nice little 2 stories, machinery. This was the Waters farm. And Albert Waters, you remember him, his
Yep.
grandfather owned the original barn and house set back here. The house was here and the barn was back. You can still see the foundation. And then they bought the farm up where Barry Needham expanded.
So they were here first, and then they expanded
Yeah.
up to.
See, I own this land now. I had a chance to buy 23 acres here off Needham deal. See those pine trees there?
Yep.
There's land down back there that I own 3 acres. They call it the barn lot. It used to be a barn Albert tells about. They used to store hay there because it's quite a trek getting it out of there in summertime. They'd save time, they'd store it, and then winter, fall, horses, they'd go down and load it on, bring it down. But with all those pine trees, Bob Ossett, Aggies planted them back when
Was that
when
one of your projects?
I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
I was playing hooky that day. They had wanted some plowing done, but they were over here planting them.
Oh, so
that was 1965, and those
So you weren't part of the-
spruce trees ought to be cut. But some of those are.
So you weren't part of the
You
crew
ought to
that
get out of
planted
the
them?
road, Bill. They come flying around that car. I'm telling you, they didn't pay
Okay.
them. So I went.
So you weren't part of the planting crew that day?
Not that day.
Yeah. So this is one of your hay fields then?
Yeah, 8 acres. It's quite steep down there, but I think it was up towards 500 acres at one time. Cows used to come down this road. They used to be pasture and fence there, and they used to drive the cows down the road to the barn. I remember.
Every day to milk?
Oh yeah. Well, when they were up here, but
Yeah.
it was a humongous pasture. All that flat was all pasture, free range.
Yeah.
I mean, huge. Of course, this was a lot of land here too.
Yeah. And when Needham's took it over, did they try to use all this?
No, he didn't fix fence.
Yeah.
He pastured.
But
up
this-
here. He
this one-
pastured up here.
But that went with the farm?
Yeah,
Yeah. Now this isn't farmland here.
was. The town bought it for gravel. The gravel in there, and the last highwayman ditched that idea. It's good gravel in there. But anyway, steep bank. Dad, we used to help. Charles was Albert's father. Grandfather's name was Jesse Waters. And see how steep that is coming up there? Well, Charles had a Case SC tractor, and Dad had the M. They'd chop corn, and I don't know, they'd hook a wagon. But anyway, they'd kind of have a little contest, see who could pull it farthest, or they'd have to get hooked on to just.
2 tractors to. Yeah. Wow.
Didn't corn it there much.
Yeah.
Marty's daughter right there. And kept it hay mostly. You know.
Yeah.
It's quite a steep. Well, it's steeper here than you think. But it goes clear over to East Keeney Road here. There's a lot of land. The Waters is over the years. They ditched it. Diversion ditches. I don't know. See one right there? Drive up this hole there. Stop there. See that crossing right there?
Mm-hmm.
Through the river?
Yeah.
No, it's back there by
Yeah.
willow trees. But all those fields.
Carry the water
yeah,
right
okay.
off. And, yeah.
But those were hay fields, and they
Yeah.
had strips that run this way. They were about 7 acres.
Yeah. Would they tile into those ditches or just?
They didn't. Tile wasn't common back in the early 50s, 60s.
Okay.
But they diversion ditches.
Yeah.
They're wet, but they were summer hayfields.
Okay.
But several times when I was working with Dad before we expanded our acreage down there, Dad'd be short of heifer hay, so he'd buy a piece or two off a berry and we'd come out and hay across the creek there. You'd go down here along. But we bought that piece of ground, hay. It's this side of the river, it goes around back quite a little ways.
Yeah. So nobody's taken the crops off
No.
across there in quite a while.
No, yeah, it's all grown up. It's been sold, some of them's been sold for hunting people. They got a little camp over there, but that was all open, all work. And you see there's a field over there with Waters Farm.
Yeah. So nobody grew any potatoes or anything?
No, my knowledge.
There's always
too
been-
wet, it's too heavy. There's
Yeah.
just, Albert grew some millet one time over there. See, there's one of the fields that hadn't grown up. But these willow trees weren't there. That's because they weren't there.
Yeah.
Farmers took care of their rivers, you know.
Yeah. So this is the Waters Farm we're coming up to
Yeah.
now.
Barn was just where that was a nice barn too. It wasn't too long. 40 cows, 30, 40 cows.
Yeah.
That's a big house. That's kind of a two-family house almost. But
So beautiful.
yeah, well,
stonework.
it's been remodeled a couple different
Yeah.
times.
You see the stonework there though?
Yeah, it's a bank where the stone is. It's a big area, but it's built in damp, you know, and living quarters above it.
Yeah.
It's a big house.
Yeah. So where would the stone come from here?
Out of the hills.
Yeah. So a quarry versus picking them up?
I know down on our farm there's a quarry up on the side hill. You can't see it from the road, but
Yeah.
that's where some of this big flagstone
Yeah.
for the wall.
So this would be probably limestone that they're picking up?
it wouldn't be here. We don't have any limestone down there.
Okay.
Maybe they got it. They might have got that somewhere. Like
Because there was...
some of it looks like shale flat. See the flat stuff? That's shale. That's
Yeah.
what that looks like. See what I'm saying?
You had said flagstone. Is that the same thing that you're talking?
Yeah, shale.
Things-
Down home, across the road, we have more. It's glacial gravel, so you have more cobbles,
Yeah.
different sizes.
Yeah.
See here, you know, so we come down the hill. We're on a plateau there. See, this is more river bottom
Yeah.
of the valley down
Yeah.
through here.
No stone walls around the fields at all.
But we're on a plateau. You're talking how many feet difference in elevation?
Yeah.
See, my grandmother's house, or heifer barn there, is the highest point in the valley. Even the Toggenburg, I think.
You can see it's pretty stony right here.
Yeah, well, there used to be a barn right here.
Okay.
Same thing like our straw barn, same idea.
Okay.
But there was fields across the road. See, there's a 10, 12 acre Ernie used to rent it off a barrier over there across the creek up here. But it's Victoria, all that hill, Gutchess owns all that side hill timberland. But up on top there's a 40 acre field that doesn't lay too bad that Warner's worked some of it. Some of it's got.
So when did the big power wire come through? The big power wire.
Goes to Casanova.
Yeah. When did that go through?
The 30s.
Yeah.
Or shortly
That
after.
early. Has it been modernized since then?
Yeah, that's where Barry got electrocuted up there. And they had to put taller poles. It was low where it went up over the brim of the. You guys ought to ride up on the hill, you get an experience. But this was Waters' heifer barn here. You can see the stone. I'm sure what they picked out of the field.
So this was part of the Waters farm too?
It probably was a separate farm at one time. Kenny Nash lived here for quite a while. When Ken left Ernie, he worked for Ernie for several years. And when he left Ernie, he moved into bought this place, moved into it, because Albert was done farming by that time, and like I say, Barry owned it. Bought it in '69, and And so Goldens lived there because Goldens used to work for Albert. If
Okay.
you know the Goldens.
Yep.
But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, Ken bought it, and he lived here for a while, but eventually he moved over to the house on the corner there of
Yeah.
Swift Road, is it?
Yeah. Okay. Now, quite a bit of stone in that foundation.
We used to do straw there. We used to work with wires for oats. We had an old-fashioned threshing machine on steel,
Yeah.
binder, and it was a tall barn. It was a big barn floor upstairs, and
Yeah.
we used, of course, that straw used to blow it in or whatever, but make a pile out back here.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a dirty job. And then, of course, then you got to fork it into the baler and oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But I remember shucking oats here on these fields here, 14 or so. And you used to think these fields are awful big, time
No.
you walk around them all afternoon.
No, you don't remember the Saunders being on this farm.
No, I think that's up to Keith Selma, isn't it?
I thought it was here.
Oh, well.
And this is where old Mike Shea's wife was raised.
I thought
Jessie.
the Saunders farm was up where the Priest farm was.
I don't know. I was told it was the one with the fancy trim here.
Well, you might be right.
So
You'd have to get your old maps out.
yeah, well, Joanne seemed to have known that, but she
Huh?
didn't. Joanne seemed to have been my source of information there.
Well, it
so,
could be.
yeah.
Couldn't prove anything by me. See, that's a fair sized field. It used to be able to cross right there, see?
The water's down pretty low now.
Yeah. Yeah, in the summertime, see?
Yeah.
Wasn't bad. But I say, these willow trees have destroyed this river. See, fall down, they change the course, you see. Warner's run this. This doodaddy goes with the fellow that owns that house there. It shouldn't have. We used to do oats here. It used to be cow pasture where all the bushes are. Warner's up on top. There's a good sized field up there. There's probably a 10, 15 acre field up there. That's the roadways Warner's put
Yeah,
in
so
there.
that they are working that up there.
They've got the hay here, see?
Yeah.
See, they haven't planted corn.
Yeah.
See,
But they have taken some hay off.
Oh, yeah. They have corn up there. Isn't too bad. That's swampy there.
Here's your pink.
Yeah. Well, that hadn't been work. But what is it? They always cut all these. Used to have 75, 80 head with heifers, you know what I mean?
And drive school bus too.
He liked the tractor work, but he didn't like to do the
Yeah. So who milked the cows then?
Goldens. Bob. This place up here is what they call the Blanchard place. When you get up here, this farm went with all this here, small farm.
This was a farm itself.
Yeah. Barn set up back there, up through there. You can't, up beyond the wood pile. This small barn, 20 cow barn. Old Wesley and the Blanchard sisters lived this side of the pine trees. You drive up here, you can see where the house was. But the Blanchard girls were related to the Dale Whirl, if you ever heard of them. Up on the house used to sit right in there, a 2-story house. But all this was farmland.
So they would have taken their milk cans.
Yeah, I think they went to cheese. Wes got old. I remember we used to have a bee here because Wes would, I don't know, he had 6 or 8 cows. Old guy, just, this was all land here. We used to hay it here. It was just a small patch. We dropped the bales on the ground, too steep trail wagon, you know what I mean? But
So
with neighbors get together for a bee for a couple days, we'd put them in 500-600 bales of hay, enough for the winter, you know.
So what we're looking at here was fields
Small fields.
In your-
couple acres.
in your time.
When I was a teenager, Bill,
Yeah.
before I graduated,
Wow.
boundary is back right about there, I guess. But this is all part of the field here, see, below the road, because the boundary was here, see. SU professor bought this place, Lanty, I think his name was. Now who we bought it from, I don't know, but this is an 80-acre farm at one time. There was a barn right here in this locust patch. There was a house right in there.
So you remember this barn?
There's a house right in there.
Yeah.
See where that,
Yeah. So
but the barn was right, see here's the barn bridge, see it?
Yeah. So you remember this barn?
This is the one, see the stone there?
Yeah.
It's probably 70 foot long or something. Wasn't a huge barn, but
Yeah.
used to be one room schoolhouse right here on the corner. Well, wait a minute before you move up. There used to be a road that went up kind of through that clearing of the trees, went up on Eaton Hill Road,
Went all the way up?
public road.
Yeah.
And my father rented a farm up on Eaton Hill Road for a short period of time. She was a young girl. She used to walk down to the one-room schoolhouse.
Yeah. What would this road have been called?
There's a name for it and I can't tell you. I probably got a map down home that I can tell you. But it's kind of dark up through the woods there. There's one of the main woods is theirs now, but she used to be dusk in the afternoon, you know what I mean? She'd kind of hustle along.
Yeah. So this road here is
Keeney settlement. What they call it, Keeney settlement. The church sat right on this lawn here, right about where that motorcycle. But the one roomer was right here.
So the time period for the church, it was pretty early.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first real church of the.
Yeah.
Sabins lived where that well is, house. The church driveway went right around church. See that driveway back there? That's the original church around the driveway.
Okay.
And this driveway here has been inundated, I guess you'd say, but that's basically the size of where the driveway was. This is a huge church. You got a picture of that, don't you?
I think so.
But Sabins lived there where the well is and whatever.
Yeah.
They had a junkyard or whatever.
Okay.
Remember the Sabins?
Yeah. They were tough boys, as I remember.
That's why Ivan had trouble. Two of them are still alive. Ronnie and Freddie.
Huh.
Freddie is a year older, 2 years older than I am.
Yeah.
This was Merton's house. I don't know who owned it before them. I don't know.
I had remembered this being Fairbanks.
Possible.
That later on in life, the Fairbanks that took the photos for Fabius. So.
Well, this is part of the Priest farm. Warner's own all this. Same thing over here.
So where was the rest of the Priest farm? Coming up to it?
Across the valley, over where the building's set. See that? Stop here. See that big plowed field that way?
Yeah.
20 acres. That went with the Priest. Dad was going. After I got through college, we come up. He was going to buy it there, but they finally decided didn't want a truck back and forth with the smaller machinery, etc.
Yeah.
And where the building's at.
So the buildings, was there barns and things for the Priest farm?
There's no buildings there until Warner's built.
Okay. So we're looking at...
So, Priest farm was square, went right to East Keene Road.
Yeah.
The town had the gravel bed there. Priest sold the gravel bed to the town, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Warner's basically built, of course, town Fabius dump was there. Cuyler and Fabius shared that for years.
Yeah.
Their building set on the Fabius dump.
So where would the Priest farm have their buildings?
Right up here, we haven't got there yet.
Okay.
You don't let me finish my story, you want me to tell... Pull over here a little.
Okay.
This is Keeney Cemetery. Drive up just past this tree here, though. Old original fence. A little more about it. Okay. See those two stones, Alex, way up in the corner, those 2-3 stones?
Way up on top. Can you...
Way up. Those are my original Keeney ancestors buried up there. Simon Sr. and Simon Jr. Simon Jr. was in the Revolutionary War. This is how he got the war grant. And his father came along with him when he decided to settle here. So can't tell you the dates they were buried, but long
Just to
time.
clarify, those
Early
ones,
1800s.
the ones in the top right, the very far back.
Yeah. It's interesting to go up there. This site of there's a lot of old. I don't know if you're familiar with these round emblems on the graves for veterans. They're brass.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, one of them up there was looking at it, very interesting. Had the guy's name on the stone, but had a flag in it, veteran. But it said George Washington's Militia. From what, 1770s, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
And how old that thing is, still in good shape.
Yeah.
Well, and then down to the bottom there, off, see where it says Davenport there?
Yeah.
See that tall white column back of that?
Yeah.
Well, that would be somebody of my Andrews, and Dad's sister was buried there. I think she was either an infant or a year old. So she was buried there.
How about your father?
He's up to Drider.
He didn't like.
Well, there's the Association for the Cemetery had kind of disbanded. And when he got semi-retired, he kind of took it over as a goodwill, just on his own. He'd hire somebody to mow it. Of course, no insurance, you know, but there's an old guy, etc., etc., etc. And I know we'd come up and we'd tinker it up. I know I had to tinker up the gates a little, do some welding, and we made that Keeney Settlement sign for him there for birthday present. Had somebody make that wood sign. We'd set the pipe in cement or something. But we used to come up, mow my relatives' plot there every Memorial Days. The rest of it didn't get mowed, but eventually he had somebody, whoever could get mow it. And then when he passed away, I guess I inherited it. Well, same thing, I started looking into it. Well, you gotta pay $250 a year permit fee, and you gotta have 2 meetings, and you gotta have a secretary and a treasurer, and on and on and on.
Could you still have burials in your time?
No.
Okay.
Not legally.
Yep.
And that was another thing, if you have you gotta have all the paperwork, so I didn't want to do it. So I turned it over to the town of Fabius. Now, if you look at the cemetery to the left, see the last stones there?
Yeah.
That's the Fabius Cuyler town lines. So kind of that open spot is town of Cuyler. And the rest of it's town of Fabius. So I kind of shook town of Cuyler's responsibility off onto Fabius.
Yeah.
Because I knew Cuyler wouldn't take care of it, see?
Yeah. Now your Keeney ancestors, one of them was a minister.
Yeah, the Andrews was. Andrews were in the ministry too.
Yeah, but wasn't the Keeney?
We can't answer
because
that. Could be.
We show that the minister also ran a distillery.
Oh,
You know, and
could be.
I wondered if it was the graves up on top, whether it's.
Well, there isn't too many Keeney graves up there.
Okay.
Up to Fabius, they got more. Of course, Simon, they got a monument up there with all the information on there, but that's the original where they were buried.
Yeah.
Of course, this fence, look, you know, Dad, when he was retired, he just bought spray cans of paint. He'd come up here and paint.
Yeah.
Cut the grass by hand around it.
Yeah.
Of course, that old pipe fence around it's been there.
Yeah.
Pillars are getting bent. I'd like to get somebody to come in and clean that up. It's getting all overgrown, you see.
Yeah.
And whether it'd be a problem, because you see up through the bushes, up rose bushes, you know.
Yeah.
Fabius does do a good job mowing it, I'll give him credit.
Yeah.
Jacoby's, there used to be a bunch of Jacoby's here too.
And Jacoby's came from up on Arab Hill,
Yeah,
and they came down to here, to there. Yeah,
could be.
yeah. I thought there was a Kingsley boy buried here in the 60s or something.
I don't think so.
No?
It's probably up Fabius, probably.
Well, I thought it was here, because one day I came and I photographed all the tombstones here.
You did?
Yeah.
There's the Kingsley.
I thought there was, and I had Kingsley boy in my class, but it wasn't. I don't think it was him.
Well, let's see. Richard Kingsley was in my class, and then you had Lester.
Yeah,
Was that the one? Got killed in a motorcycle.
yeah.
Well, I don't know how he got in there.
Well, I think his photo was engraved in the stone.
You know where the stone is?
No, but it might be just a monument. He might not be there. He just might be on the stone.
Because his mother was a Sabin. I believe. I'm right on this. I think his mother was a sister to, like, Freddie Sabin's father.
Okay.
If you,
Ties them all.
so that, because Sabin's for here ever. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Side of the tree where you can see how a hump there. See it?
Yeah. So that was a regular dairy barn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 20 cows.
Yeah. And the house sat inside of those trees. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These trees were out in front of the porch. That house looked an awful lot like that house down the road, your Ken Nash's house.
Okay.
Earl Priest, that's where he grew up there.
It's quite a tree here.
Yeah. Well, and then there was a barn. There was a barn in there somewhere. This side of the creek.
Yeah.
Small barn.
Yeah.
And there was one in here too. I guess it was this side of the creek.
Yeah.
Everybody had these small barns, like a straw barn, you know,
Yeah.
machinery or whatever. So
Yeah.
this was the boundary down to there. And then I say Priest Farm jutted over there about where those willows went up through. This was Harry Hall's farm here.
This parcel right here?
Yeah. In this part here. Can't park here, they want to get in there.
Yeah.
It's quite territory. Dad just tell about that woodland way over a mile up in there. Straight back.
The wood lot itself was a mile long?
Well, property, yeah.
Yeah.
How wide? Of course, it's not too wide here. It's kind of narrow. And then Harry owned all down to the creek, but he didn't own a lot of. He didn't own a lot of width. It was length back. See what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
of course, his wife was Edith, which was a Damport.
Okay.
And it goes back to Walter Bennett. His wife was a Damport.
Yeah.
So Walter used to help Harry in late years because there was an age difference between
Yeah.
Harry. And Dad used to tell about Harry liked to go up and get firewood and logs out in the winter project. Farmers did that. And Walter would come up and help him because Harry's getting older. He said they had a little shanty up in the woods way up in there. And they'd come up in the morning, take their lunch with them because it's far with horses or whatever.
Yeah.
They wouldn't back down until dark or whatever, short time, and they'd eat their lunch and work the day.
So they were cutting trees down for lumber?
Firewood too,
Yeah.
burned wood,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Probably didn't do a big stroke of business, you know. But
Yeah. Now, do you want to talk about the farm across the way, or you want to wait for the other side of the road?
I'd say probably outside of the road. What do you want to talk about over there?
Well, just Warner's, and you know, the Warners start there, you know.
No, they started up here.
Yeah. But then they moved here, and that became their main complex. And,
But Harry's barn was right where the driveway was there, basically.
yeah. So
This barn was probably kind of like my heifer barn, maybe not quite as long, but
yeah. So Todd Warner's here, right?
Yeah.
Yep, this is his
That's
home.
him driving out if you want.
Yeah.
And he tore down the old house. House was bad shape. Harry was related somehow to Barb's grandfather. And Barb's grandfather was in the cabbage business. And when her grandfather go over to visit him late years, he'd say, well, take cabbage over to Harry for me.
So they're raising cabbage
so
here.
So send that over to us. So
Yeah.
that's how that. Probably Todd wonders what you're doing.
Yeah. So.
Used to be two of these state markers here. One on this side of the road and one above.
Okay.
And one of them was the first.
Hey, Todd.
meeting.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
We captured Dick today. We're doing the history of the valley.
There you go.
So we're getting them
You
recorded.
remember the historical markers here?
Yeah, there was the church and the Webster cabin,
Yeah, okay.
which they're actually up in my barn.
Oh, yeah?
One of them, the church one got broken in half.
You remember what year?
Snowplow hit it. The house was about 1820, and I think the church had its first service in like 1804.
Yeah, it was the first service I know.
Yeah.
That was on this side road.
Yes, the snowplow took that out. So
You don't. That Marks, is it?
yeah, Steve. Yep.
Okay. So you don't have any pictures of the old buildings, do you?
I don't know that I do.
Well, we were looking at historical signs because I say they were the history, you know.
We're recording Dick today for a presentation, and then we're throwing in pictures to go along with it and
good.
everything. So,
Yeah.
so
I wish he'd pay me for it, but he ain't going to pay me. Well, just history, whether it amounts to anything or not, I don't know.
It's always
you know,
fascinating.
he's old enough, so he's the
He
authority.
keeps reminding me how old I am.
Yeah. So
Well, there's change though in my lifetime. You're going to see
Oh, I know.
same thing.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at old pictures.
Buildings
It's
are all
amazing.
gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
New places and new people.
Yep. Doesn't take long.
Like Harry, how long was Harry's barn? 75 foot? Less than that?
No, I think it's probably more than that. I think it's close to 100.
He had one silo or two?
Yeah, just a one. Yep.
Probably had wood silos originally.
Could be. I don't remember seeing
'Cause
any
those-
foundation for it. The foundation for the cement silo was
The
there.
black silos, they were along 50s, the core stone
Yeah.
silos come along.
Yep. Yeah,
Everybody put them up then.
Yep. I took that down. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your house sits right on the old spot of
Yeah,
Harry.
and the frame is the original.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I've got the exposed beams in the living room.
yeah.
So. Yeah, it's pretty small. It's like 60,
Still got the spring
the spring. Oh,
that fed the house? Harry
no,
had
I've
a
got
spring.
well.
Harry
Yeah,
had a spring.
yeah. There was. Did I? Oh, so here's an interesting story. I was wanted to put a concrete sidewalk in out to the driveway, so I had a mini excavator. I rented it, and I was digging, and I hooked onto a big rock, and I pulled it up, and my wife said, "There's a well under there." I said,
Wow.
"No, it's an old septic tank." She said, "No, it's a well.
Dug-
It's a 26-foot deep,
Land-
hand-laid well."
Laid up with stone.
Yeah.
And
Down-
dry in it.
No, there's a little water. There's a
Yeah.
little water trickling into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barb's grandfather somehow was related to Harry. Don't ask me how.
Oh, okay.
And her grandfather always raised a lot of cabbage over Preble there.
Yep.
And in late years, Grandpa Knapp used to come over once in a while. Late years, he didn't get out much, but if we go visit Grandpa, he'd give us a cabbage. Take it over to Harry, so we'd come up and visit him. Of course, Harry liked to talk, but
Yeah.
I remember that spring was always dribbling in his sink there. He never could shut it off.
Yeah, that's right. That came from up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yep, he had to let it run
You're
constantly.
Probably
talking
lead
about-
pipe too.
I have dug up some lead pipe around here, but yeah.
So,
Yeah, we've had lead pipe down. But anyway, down where my pine tree is between my buildings, out that little field there, back off the bank there, probably 40 feet. Same thing, was plowing there one day years ago and dug up this big flat rock. Same thing, there was a laid up well there. That one was only probably 10 feet deep or something.
Yeah.
But I know we left it open because we thought maybe use it for stock water or something. But in summertime it'd dry out.
Yeah.
But it's perfect round. It's small. I don't know how a man could even get down in there.
This one was 2 feet across on the inside. I wouldn't
That
know.
one up there was.
Could you imagine being 26 feet in the ground to start that?
So
Not me.
Good supply of water.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been. So my well is only 32 feet deep.
Yeah,
they hit water at 12 or 16 when they wanted to get.
You know how
did you
far,
get down into the rock?
No. Nope, it's just sand and gravel.
You know how far I have to go for water? You know how far I have to go for water? We got 3 wells there. One at the barn is 280, one at the house is 260, and the crossroad by the light pole we only went 152.
That's quite a difference.
Bedrock. On that side of the road they're bedrock.
Yeah. Wow.
Gallon a minute.
Yep.
On the other side we can get 10, 12 gallons of gravel.
I think the well that was at my parents' barn up there, that was like 12 feet deep.
Well, you see, we're up on the plateau. See?
Yeah, makes a big difference. Yep.
The wind.
Yeah, yeah, really. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Webster, okay. Well, they were one of the original. The Websters were one of the original come-alongs. There's your stick right there for the church, see?
So at least we know where the marker is.
It's too bad you twist his arm and get him back up, you know? Maybe I'll work on him.
Yeah.
And I'd help him put it up. You can toggle up something, bowl them up or something.
Can you weld the cast iron on those? Or braze it?
You can, but you might better put on some irons and just drill right through it.
Yeah.
This is the Warner's Hathaway homestead.
Why do you say the Hathaway? Because they married?
The barn was right in here, small barn. The house burned in 1961, I believe. Janice, her father was, what was his name? He sold Pioneer seed corn for years.
Okay.
And of course Janice there had a couple brothers and a sister. One of the sisters was Lambert up there on Toggenburg Road. Married Lambert. Bruce Lambert, his mother.
Yeah. But I can't come up with the first name.
Margaret Lambert, she was in my class, sister.
Yeah. So how much of a barn did they have here?
Not a big barn. You can see the humps there.
That was like 20 cows?
30. Well, the original barn, I'm not sure whether Hazel took it down. It might have, because this was a rebuilt barn in my day. See what I'm saying? So maybe Hazel, maybe it fell in this. The house is real old. Maybe the barn fell down, or Hazel. I couldn't. Probably Todd would know. It was a more modern barn, 30 cows or so. It wasn't too big of a farm. Bordered Harry, and then this was another Fairbanks place up here was another farm, see? So these were smaller farms.
Yeah.
Went up back for a ways, but I think the boundary was kind of like where this row of trees right here, right there. See, was the boundary of the Warner farm. This was the Fairbanks farm.
That's right.
Used to be a barn where that garage was, my day.
So this was the Fairbanks photographer from Fabius that I talked about. So he must have inherited it from his family.
Yeah. Well, she I never knew of even the children. They were older folks when I was a kid. She lived a long time. It was empty for a long time, but like you say, it must be the next generation. Somebody mows it. I don't know who.
Yeah. It's passed down in the Fairbanks family, because I've contacted the fellow who owns it now about the negatives of Fairbanks. He used to work for the newspaper as a photographer.
Where do they live now? Syracuse?
Oh, one of them was in Alexandria Bay and someplace else. And
somebody takes care of us. Yeah. They come down.
Yeah. But they didn't have any negatives left.
Okay. But this is all land. My grandfather owned. Well, He owned this land at one time, I think.
Wow.
He bought and sold a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I told you the story about the 1,000 acres, didn't I? So, see, because he farmed it right across the valley. You understand? Where Siemens, Grace, old Siemens farm.
That was his farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though he had all the holdings over here.
Well, no, yeah.
Yeah.
And then see, my grandma was Andrew. She was born down there.
Yeah.
She wanted to move back home, so she coerced him. He didn't really want to leave here, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the boundary's here. Now you're on the Davenport farm.
So this is the Davenport farm.
The barn was, well, barn bridge was right there. See it?
Okay. Now you said that you used to rent the land.
Yeah. These fields here and that one back there, where the boundary was.
Okay.
We used to work that field back there, that side hill.
Okay. So you use the barn here too?
No.
No.
But that barn there, that addition on the end wasn't there. The kids were in 4-H. They had a couple horses,
Yeah.
the beef, so the people that owned it, Maloney's that owned it, they wanted, did the hay insurance. We had to throw the hay into the second story there. Of course, it was always 90 that day. We had to throw the hay up there. You know.
How did you get to the second story? Up through that window?
Well, that addition wasn't on there. See,
Okay.
see the cutting and lumber there?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where the hay hole was.
Okay.
Window, whatever, door, whatever.
Yeah. That doesn't look like a lot of fun. Yeah.
But the barn was here. That was, 30 cow barn, 2-story.
Yeah. And they had apple orchard too.
Could have.
Of course, everybody
Probably
had an apple orchard.
Everybody had apples back then, you know.
Because our friend Irving that we're reading the diaries, they're coming over and buying apples here. And they're only allowed 5 bushels, spies. That's all he'd let them have. He wanted more, but he couldn't get them. So
This upper part isn't too bad. You get down next rivers, real wet ground. Warner's done a lot of tiling and ditching. They've helped it a lot.
So the number of Davenport generations, we know Ivan,
Yeah.
but it was his father,
Yeah.
and that was
Now whether it goes back to his grandfather or not, I don't know.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised it does, because they've been here a long time,
Yeah. So you remember Ivan farming it?
No.
No.
No, he was never done. There was
nothing left to.
no land wasn't being used basically for many years.
But he went to
See,
college.
Ivan used to be he planted a bunch of evergreen trees in there.
But he went to Morrisville College and everything and got all the ag education and didn't come back.
Well, he might have farmed it for my day.
Okay.
See, because Ivan was old man, I thought,
Yeah, and he had a job driving bus, and his wife was
His wife
working.
had the job in the office, see?
Yeah, she.
The boundaries here for the land. See, I think this creek is the boundary. And then the boundary over here is up by the light pole part of it.
Okay.
But this is where Ivan lived.
Okay.
So
So
probably it was a tenant house for the farm, I presume.
okay.
And the barn was just beyond these maples here.
There was a barn here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
And
just
that,
keep his car there.
Yeah.
And upstairs.
and that would have been horse barn or hay barn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Benny Needham said something about this building came off the Waters farm.
Oh,
His
yeah.
father had sold it.
This fellow, you ought to get to know this fellow. He paints. He's an artist, and well, he's middle late 60s, whatever.
Yeah.
Barn's out right in here. There's part of the stone from the foundation. See,
Yeah.
wasn't a big barn.
Yeah, but it wasn't for cows or anything.
Huh?
It wasn't a cow
No,
barn.
the other barn was.
Yeah.
But this fellow's improved that house. This fellow bought some property over on the other side of the valley, and he's a fixer-upper, and used to be a house or schoolhouse or something, Panoyer place, and he tore what was left. Wasn't much, but he's building another building there, like a resurrection of the pictures that he saw the original place, so he'd be somebody would be interested.
He's come to a couple of our meetings.
Okay, is it John something or other?
And Charlie Shea had stopped and talked to him and convinced him to come. And
I ran into him up on Eaton Hill Road. Probably it was 2-3 years ago at least. Up along the line, I was working fixing fence in the spring there alone, and farther up the line from me. You never been up there, have you? Eaton Hill Road.
just you took us up there a little bit.
Okay. Well, anyway, this truck was parked up there, and I went about fixing my fence. I was working along to the north towards him, and kept there for a long time. He was outside the truck doing something, and it looked like he had a chair or something. And finally, I got up, within 300-400 feet there, and quit fixing fence. I was go and find out what's going on. Well, it was this guy, and he was painting the scene of the fence and the wood roads that went down. Oh, beautiful. He had posted it was just as good as a snapshot. He wouldn't be. Then he takes these pictures and he sells them at these art shows or whatever, or keeps them or whatever.
Yeah. So you bought that one on the spot?
No, he did. I don't know if I wasn't smart enough, or I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, afterthought. You know what I'm saying? It was working. You don't put two and two together sometimes. Lucille used to have this bank was all hollyhocks. Always were beautiful. See, there's a few plants left there. See them? But that was her thing. But she always had beautiful hollyhocks here.
Now they used to keep horses here.
Probably there's a little field up back goes with it. See, there's a little land here with this.
Yeah. So
had this lot.
So did Ivan inherit all the farm from his family?
I assume so.
Yeah. So he had both houses, and
he owned. I think he owned. What was her daughter's name? Not Carol.
It was Carol.
Oh, it was. So the daughter's name was Carol too.
Neubauer or.
Carol Neubauer?
No, you're talking about the granddaughter. She had a name that.
But what was her first name? Carol?
Carol was Ivan's daughter.
Okay, yeah, that's right. But what's the granddaughter's name?
I have to have a name written down, and I have to look at it to be able to learn to pronounce it. So I can't come up with it, and Joanne's told me 3 times now.
Okay. I'm not sure how much of this land was damn, because the boundary is right there to the next farm. See, down through where the pinkweed is there.
Yeah. So this guy, the painter, wouldn't own more than what he has just.
No, this guy. See, Warner's own this now, so they bought it before. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, the guy that owned it before Warner's might have. I don't know, because there was a couple farm families here before Warner's got it. There was Gaudet's, and before that was. You probably would know them. Farm family in there. They had dairy, and one of them was in the not Farm Bureau. What's the other one? Grange, big time. They lived over in Woodstock. Had a farm out of Eerieville Road going up out in the Woodstock first place.
But they own land all the way over here too?
No, this was after they sold the farm to Gaudet's.
Okay.
Oh, Bruce and what's the sister's name? Shoot, I know too. They were there a lot of years. Parents got older and they sold the farm and downsized or whatever. But I mistrust. This Damport got split up somewhere there, you know. But the boundaries are here. See those trees? Those are some probably Ivan had planted. You see what I'm saying? Boundaries right here on the. You can see the difference in the wood. See.
Yeah. A lot of trimming along in the trees.
Yeah, they've been.
Are they going to work the highway?
They should have cut them all because they got wires go back in there. Power wires should have been all cut. Of course, there used to be pasture fence. See the post there. Old locust post.
Yeah. Who would have been pasturing up in there?
The farms that were here.
Okay.
Warner's never pastured. They don't believe in pasture. Well, it's Gaudet's, and I can't think of the name. It drives me nuts. See, that barn was an old barn.
Wasn't there another big barn here?
Yeah, that's where the shop is.
Yeah.
It's longer than that. Warner's tore it down.
'Cause I remember-
It's getting bad shape.
I remember coming to an auction here in the early 70s.
Huh?
An auction was here in the early
Well, that
70s.
was probably the Gaudettes. Well, right here was, back on the lawn there was the Keeney sign, original cabin. At least I think it was there. Maybe it was in the bushes. I don't know, but
So that's all gone now?
I can't believe it's in the bushes. It's one of the historical markers.
Yeah.
That'd be something you really should find if you could get history of those, because they're the ones that tell the dates and the whole.
Yeah. There should have been a record. I know there's a guy
There's
who's
probably
written
a
a book.
website somewhere.
Yeah.
See, the Department of Education's New York State should be able to dig this up for you.
Okay.
You're good with the computer.
Better when it isn't haying season. So, you know this guy here probably.
Billy Gollinger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a year ahead of me. And up here is the Andrews marker. This is my grandparents, great-grandparents. What year does that marker say?
How's your eyes, Constantine?
It says 1821.
Okay.
You got your sign there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where the Andrews originally.
Some of them were here originally. Of course, this was a dentist place, you know, Jack Dennis.
I didn't know who. Yeah.
Now, who they bought it from, I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, there's quite a span between them and Dennis, as you
Yeah.
know. That's the original barn. It's always been that size. Guy who lives here now, he's fixed it all up and nice. But same thing, field stone, see that?
Yeah.
Well, the house was right back of the pine trees there by the road. That was, when Dennis's lived there, that was an old house, and that was bad shape too, you know what I mean?
So
That's the milk house.
Yeah.
Used to have, Dennis's used to have 10 cows or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The father worked off farm. The grandpa did a lot of the work. He was older, but he had an old John Deere bee, and he'd spread manure by hand in the winter time, you know. Of course, they didn't have many, but
Yeah.
and he lived with his son and daughter-in-law and family. There's a decent field or two up back. These little fields here.
So Warner's would be working everything up.
They don't they don't work it. Not enough up there. They won't let them or whatever. This guy kind of likes to preserve. Cut more trees up here, Bill.
Yeah.
See this field there.
They're just
I say that little field down there. Dad and I hated there. We bought the standing hay a couple years. I helped plant these trees. How's that?
This is your senior year in high school?
No, well, it might have been. Could have been. Different day. There used to be pasture in the dentist place. See, because the boundaries are here, see?
Yeah.
Well, there's some pin marks in there, see?
Yeah. So this would have still been the dentist farm?
Not this.
Okay.
Back there, I told you where the pine trees quit. So
Okay. So
it wasn't a huge farm.
yeah. So whose farm endeavor are we in now?
Dale Whirls. This was his third man's place. All this up on the corners, Dale Whirls. Mac lived there for a while.
Okay. So
His wife was related to the Blanchards down there.
okay.
I think there's Blanchard stones down there as Key Summit. I wouldn't swear to it.
So do you remember anybody shipping milk off?
Oh yeah.
Who would that have been?
When?
No, who?
When at Dale Whirl.
Okay.
Luella was her name. His barn burned up or tore down. This is not the original barn, it's the original spot.
Yeah. So do you remember the Woodfords owning this land at one time?
Yeah, because the house is up on their land up back
Yeah.
there. That's the original stone house.
Yeah. Probably not a real good place. Do you remember anybody else?
Yeah, after him got sold, FHA deal was Dick Welch owned it for a brief period. Welches were a Cuyler family.
There's a stone house here all of a sudden.
Probably older than the hills, probably.
Yeah.
So I wish the county'd put me in a wall like that on my ditches so I don't have weed eat them.
Was this county job here? Yeah. Did
Used
Mac
to be
have?
just a bank. It kept slushing off.
Did Mac have the pull? To,
Huh?
Did Mac have the pull to have that?
Yeah.
Did he?
Did when he was in office there. Now that addition, I can't tell you whether that was on. I think that was on when Dale Worrell lived there.
Yeah. I remember in about 69, there was no windows in the house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was abandoned. And I sat up on the second story with my feet out the window and looked out around. And so
Well, Dale was no spring chicken, but he was a good old guy. Always smiley. He worked hard. Of course, I don't know about their children. What they weren't around when I was growing up, so just two of them. So you see, they were older, so he had to give it up.
But you don't ever remember the Call family living here?
Call,
C-A-L-L. No,
they were there before him.
they were there Civil War time,
Okay.
and there was a lady that lived here with her children. She had lost her husband before the Civil War time. And then she had written a book about how to operate a farm and how to be a good dairy wife.
Okay.
And
You're going to get in trouble with these people before you get done.
probably. So I got my official government sticker in my car. So.
Well, just buildings were there. There wasn't anything on this side of the road, but
Yeah.
he used to pasture all these swamps. He used to pasture. This was all pasture over there.
So do you remember anything about a sawmill back there on the creek? Okay.
Of course, this was all Worrell with the farm. I don't know, you ever hear of the Conklins?
Yes.
They had a house right in here. Back of these lilac bushes, you see. Girls used to ride the bus. This was all Dale Worrell's farm. It's quite an area up in there, see.
Yeah. How did the Woodfords end up getting ownership?
Well, that was in the 70s there. They were when they were in prime business, they were looking to spend their money.
Okay.
Abandoned farm, see?
Yeah. But was it because of their farming endeavors too that they were?
Maybe they thought they'd cash in on that buyout. Remember, they had cows over on East Keeney Road there on the Thorpe farm, you know, and that was about the same era.
Because they said they were going all the way up to Izzy Woodfords and doing crops up there.
Yeah.
So.
See, and the boundary for the farm is here, Worrell Farm. So it's quite. Dad, I think one time Dad hated up here, way back when.
Wow.
Well, he didn't have the acreage down there. I cleaned up a lot of acres, made more pasture, you see. And of course, we didn't used to have Kogut's. Kogut would never rent to my dad. When I come along, old Joe would, I guess he liked me, he started renting. Of course, Joe had it in the land bank for 25 years, see.
Yeah.
So he got a little money from that. So he didn't want to do anything with growing up the weeds, you know what I mean? So this is a slick place.
Now,
partridges are before that.
Okay.
Of course, Donnie Slick's wife is a Harris.
Yeah. And Harris and partridges. And
Harris Farms, next place up through.
Yeah.
Barn was down here where the silo was. Ed Partridge, he drove a bus.
Yeah.
Velma worked in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
She was a Harris, sister.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Barn was in there.
Yeah.
30 cow barn or whatever.
And that burned in the 60s maybe?
Did it burn?
Yeah.
Okay. I've forgotten just what
Because
happened to it.
Paul Partridge introduced me to his brother, and he was in the service, and he was going to come home and run the farm. When he got done the service, but the barn burned, and he says, well, no barn, no.
See, which brother was he going to introduce you to?
I can't remember.
Don? Paul's the one in the service.
Yeah, Paul was in the service. Yeah.
Like my age or
Paul had an older brother. I can't remember.
Ed.
Yeah. Well, I can't
Or
remember.
Dick. Was it Dick? But no. I thought it was Ed Jr., but
Yeah, I don't know.
see, there's 2, 3 girls there too. So.
Yeah. So their land would have been right across the valley through the.
This is the boundary, I think. The Harris farm. I think. They didn't have that much land. It goes down the other way, but.
Yeah. Was there much up on top of the hill?
Yeah. Now, how far up timber?
Yeah.
Of course, there's pasture up there, you see. But I think this all went with the Harris. I wouldn't swear to it, but. Of course, the swamps. They owned a lot of the swamps, but didn't get too much out of them, you know,
Yeah.
just exercise.
Has the swamp increased
Yeah.
over years?
Yeah. You take the cattle out, boy, you wouldn't
Yeah.
believe the difference when you take the cattle out. All this stuff. This is where this comes from. Under my fences, you go look where I
Yeah.
don't have any cows now, and
Yeah.
I'm taking fences down because you can't even fix the fence, number one, and
Yeah.
number two is you might just well take it down and clean it up, and
Yeah.
rebuild it if you ever want to. I had all new fences in my lifetime, you see, and never thought I'd be tearing them down. Some of them are 40 plus years old, even the ones I put up.
Yeah.
Of course, this house wasn't there, you see.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie rented where the high school is. He used to, it's a night farm, he used to rent it. 100 acres there.
Yeah. So the high school, the new high school that was built came off the Tonight property?
Yeah,
Okay.
all that's tonight.
Yeah. So this is the Harris farm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lime Harris was the father. They lived.
And he was the
they
one
lived
that.
here. His father and mother lived here until they passed away. Charlie and his wife
Yeah.
lived with him or whatever. See,
Yeah. So Lime was the first Harris to come?
it's the first one I know about. Could have
Okay.
been. Whose was it before that? I don't know. But this is an old barn too. But
Somebody had told me that the Harrises originally farmed up in Shackham and then came down.
could be.
Yeah.
Fritz was in my class. He killed himself.
Yeah.
And the sister there. The kids used to work out. Remember Betty? They'd work in the barn. The mother used to work in the barn.
Yeah.
Because Charlie drove bus.
Yep. He used to come over and pick corn for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
This is John Deere 60.
yeah.
Tights that lived where Marty farm. He was the farmer after the Whitmarshes.
Yeah.
Ralph and Dad were good friends. There was quite an age difference, but he was from Delaware County. Ralph lost his farm to the Downsville Dam down there, the New York City watershed.
Yeah.
So that's how he come up and bought Whitmarsh Farm. He was up here for 8-9 years, and his wife got homesick. She had some mental issues too. The boundary of the Harris Farm's here. And she had mental issues, so that she wanted to go back to Delaware, so that's why he liked it here. He never wanted to move, but he had to. So that's when Young's has come along. But anyway, at the auction, Ralph's auction, that 60, Charlie bought it. And now, you know George Hand?
Yep.
My George, well, his son supposedly owns the tractor, but George, he inherited off of Charlie. So that 60 is still in the neighborhood, more or less.
So,
Well, Dad bought the farm all them in 51.
yeah.
Still got, and then Ralph bought that 60, so you see what I mean?
Yeah. So who would have taken all this hay off already?
Benner.
Okay.
This was the Hathaway farm. Ron Hathaway,
This farm has had a lot of owners, or a lot of people on it.
probably.
Yeah. So.
That's an old stone house, you see.
Yeah.
It's been preserved well. The barn stone. I can't believe that's original mortar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm having to remortar my barn.
Yeah. So, take me through some history of this farm from here.
Well, Hathaways are the only ones I've ever known.
And they were owners?
Ron Hathaway, which would have been the Warners, let's see, they're cousins. So would Ron be brother to Janice, the Warner's mother? I think maybe.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
I still can't think of the father's name. Clarence. Clarence Hathaway was the father's name.
Okay.
Yeah, I think probably that's right because Ron wasn't that old. I almost think Ron worked for Dad one summer when he was a young boy.
Now, Roy Smith tells me he was born here in this house.
Okay.
Okay.
Dad
now,
was friend with Roy Smith, you know.
you know, so they were renting the farm, or they owned the farm at one time?
See, and then Smith, Roy went over on Dreaded Lake.
Yeah.
He had chicken. He had a big chicken outfit over there.
Yeah.
You know where his farm was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And then from there, I guess he went to Pompey, maybe.
yeah.
But he
So-
and Dad were friends somehow. I don't know, but well, they had the registered cows at one time, but
Now, Royce Root told me that his family lived here.
maybe that's how he got known when he lived there. You
Yeah.
know. Of
So-
course, there was an age difference between old Roy was a little older than my father, but probably 5-10 years older or
Yeah.
something, maybe. But
Yeah.
Ron. Let's see, Ron and what was the other brother? He had two boys. Ron was the older one or the younger one? One of them lives over there next to the Siemens farm over on the
Yeah.
younger one. He was a year younger and Ron was a year older than me.
Yeah. I don't remember their names, but so.
They'd have to look their names up, but they're cousins of the Warners.
Now, do you ever remember any Heffernans that lived here?
Uh-huh.
No. Okay.
Well, you see, they were about my age, the boys. So
Yeah.
you see, well, the boys are after the boys left. Well,
Okay.
then probably Papa
Yeah.
sold it or
Yeah.
no.
Now, Nancy Lorraine Hoffman would like to know the age of her house. So,
I'm sure.
so.
As far as she's done playing down cellar someplace or in some place they used to do this. Barn's probably just about as old.
So.
How long have Hoffman been here?
Boy, at least 20 years.
Oh, I bet it's closer
Longer
to
than
30.
that. Yeah. So.
See, because I graduated in 65. Now, how long Hathaways were here, you see what I'm saying, time-wise? 30 years takes you back to what? 90s?
Yeah.
So there's quite a...
Yeah. Now, the Cusses were here, too, at one time.
Yeah, that's right. And they moved up to
Yeah.
King's Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that
And they-
woman. No,
They said something that there was a schoolhouse on their property and they donated it.
I think probably it was...
Something over here.
Yeah, down in the corner maybe.
Yeah. It went up to the Pioneer Village up.
Yeah, there's a
On the
road that
Escort.
goes up over the hill there. Nancy and Lorraine got it thrown up because there's some big fields that go up to her fields, and people were getting onto her fields four-wheeling, and so she got the town to throw the road up. Comes up on Shackham, those roads up in the,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
hooks up with Eaton Hill Road there. Got gas now?
We got half a tank.
I ain't gonna walk home. Well, it's a good little dairy farm. There's quite a lot of land above the road you don't realize. You can see it from the
Do
other side
you
of
know much about Hathaways? How many cows they had, or anything about that?
No, probably 30, 40. Same what you see what the barn holds.
Yeah. And they were just one generation, as far as you know, on the farm.
You say, there's your road that goes up through. See,
Yeah.
and it's road up.
What road did that? What was the name on that one?
Oh, I used to know. I can't tell you today.
Okay.
And Nancy's, I think this is part of Nancy's farm here, but I think the boundary is kind of... Don't ask me who owned all up in here.
Am I out?
This was always an abandoned road. Buses, we never come up. Wintertime, town didn't plow. Couldn't keep the road open up there, wind. So we always turned back on the crossroad there. See, nobody lived up here.
Huh.
No, I'm serious.
Okay.
Jeez, today. It's crazy. Glad I don't not in a bill. It drives me nuts. Bothers my asthma when Marty.
Just go right through the wet spots too.
Oh yeah, well, hello. And then look at it. Just wash up our truck, and then you drive across the road, and then there goes your clean truck. We don't wash it very often anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Sally Siemens, you know her?
Yeah.
You know where she farmed up?
No.
Turn left down here, Shotgun. She married Carl Siemens.
Okay.
He had the bowling alley.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether he drove bus. Didn't he drive bus? Or was that Lee Siemens?
Yeah. Boy, I don't know.
Long about your dad's, or your dad didn't drive bus, did he?
Nope.
Your uncle.
Yeah.
This is the Siemens, Carl and Sally's farm here.
Okay.
House was right up here. Barn was across the road.
There was a barn over on this side.
30, 40 cows.
Okay. Now, wasn't there a barn over on this side of the road at one time?
It could have been. I came to auction when he sold out. This is after I graduated
So,
college.
did that end the farming at this place? At that auction?
Barn was right in here where this flat spot was. See,
Yeah.
the house. The house has been fixed up a lot. That was kind of a rough house. Barn was in here, kind of. Wasn't too big of a barn. He had an old International bulldozer selling. He was cleaning off some pasture up here that Benny wants to buy or whatever, where the new houses are. See, his farm all kind of, well, went that way.
Yeah.
How far? Probably down to where Windhausen was there, I presume, probably.
So you talked about that road, Chunka Bailey Road, not being maintained in the wintertime. What about here?
No.
This was done?
As far as Sally's place.
Okay. Because there was nobody farming back here.
Well, just them.
Yeah.
There might have been somebody living here, but I think the deal was they had to, if the bus couldn't get there, they wouldn't pick them up, see if the weather, because they'd get stuck. They
Yeah.
can't. This is a new place here since I've been up here. I haven't been up here lately. Benny wants farther up, is that where he's?
Yeah, he's...
This was all Carl's pasture that he was cleaning up, see?
Huh. Benny rents his land out to Van Erden, his 5 acres. He
Benny
puts,
rents it
yeah,
for 5 years?
to Van Erden, and I don't know, you know, which
Probably
5 acre
some
chunk.
of this up in here
Yeah.
or whatever, but
Yeah.
cornfield. Of course, this was Goodrich.
Yeah.
Carl's was all this side. Now, how far up he came, I don't know. But these are all new.
So as far as you know, there was nobody else shipping milk back in here or anything?
No, but up where Danix is, there's a barn up there. There probably was at one time. A lot of them went cheese factories, so
Yeah.
they didn't have to ship every day.
Of course, the Dinks got their sawmill running up here.
Are they still working it now?
Yeah, they got it all activated again.
What's about your neighbor over there?
Johnny Young.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're running truckloads of lumber in there all the time. And
Hemlock, isn't it?
he does hardwoods too.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Does he buy landing logs?
No,
See, I got out some logs there this year, you know.
you might check with them. They tell me that Danks buys quite a bit here and does logging himself.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Well, who's his partner?
Glenn Ferguson runs the mill for him, and he's my neighbor on the Daily Road, and he does mechanical work, and he's a real good boy. That all softwood?
Doesn't look like ash. It looks like soft. Well, maybe it is, but
Yeah. I know Johnny Foster, my neighbor, is a relative of them at the mill here, and he just retired from John Deere, and he said they gave him 2 days off before they talked him into coming up and working in the mill. And he says he's
See, what's Foster's first name?
John Foster.
Or not John Foster, but
Debbie Foster. Is that?
John's helping him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Dinks, what's his first name?
I don't know.
I just know because he's Robert's age, kind of.
Yeah.
He worked for the town for quite a while, see?
Yeah.
Well, I used to bring hemlock logs up and have his dad saw them up for me. I had an old Chevy stake rack truck, piece of junk, but we'd no license, but we could sneak up the back road without getting caught, you know.
Yeah.
Because I always like to have hemlock boards on hand, you know.
Is there a mill up here, or did we go by it already?
No mills up here.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to get sawdust from him to put under the blueberries. And
With the father?
yeah.
Oh, no. He's
So-
quite he could be kind of temperamental or whatever.
He came up one day and he says, I gave you a good price on the sawdust, but you need to pay the trucking, not me. And he wanted an extra couple $100 for the trucking. And I thought the trucking was included, but so.
Yeah, like some of these locusts here. He's built a big building there. I haven't been up here in several years. I used to dump my logs off here. Is that his mill up there? You got a, I guess, must be in that bill. See, that's the original mill.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got a green chain, yeah. He's doing sawing up there.
Yeah.
Maybe he does a different size down there or something.
I don't know.
Of course, the old man built the house there, you know.
Yeah.
That's Debbie Foster's sister. She still live there?
She lives down in the village,
Oh, yeah.
and she works in the optometrist office in Lafayette.
Well, she's got to be getting towards retirement age.
Yeah, but you know, us old guys keep working.
What was her name? I forgot.
I don't know. She was trying to talk me into selling my timber to her son, but I can't remember.
She was?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, she's a businesswoman, you know what I'm saying?
Now, there's a silo here.
Yeah, there's a barn there. You see the foundation this side there?
Yeah. So this was supposed to have been Bernard Rowley's farm, right? Emily Estes'
Oh,
father's.
I've heard the name, but none of the
But
stuff.
you've never read any of her books or anything about how she was raised here and how her father was such a guiding light.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Constantine's dad just read her book, and he couldn't understand why the way she described life in the country and on the farm, why it ended.
Wonder how much he'd soak me for those locust trees.
You want them for fence posts?
Well, 3x3s. They're easier to pound in the ground.
Yeah.
Put a point on them. Well, they last good. Last longer than I'll ever need.
Do you want them sawn too?
Well, Robert has brought some up here. He gets them at his work, and he's brought 1 or 2 batches up there and had them sawed up. And then I'll buy them. I give them like $2.50 a piece. Or
Yeah.
Probably cost more than that now.
They make nice lumber too.
Yeah.
Beautiful green in it and everything.
Yeah, I have them make some boards that I use for braces.
Yeah.
Drill holes and then you can nail them, see? You've missed out on all this good. Somebody gonna put or they're just timbering on it there. Probably just timbering it. Power line go through there?
I think so, yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
See, it's detriment power line in all these trees. See, these bigger ash trees, they're probably 40, 50 years old or something, a little older, see. Takes about 100 years to get the big stuff, but from the time you quit farming it.
So you think this is Dank's logging operation here, or?
I don't know. That's pretty expensive equipment you're looking at there, Bill. I'd say they're making pulpwood out of that, but I may be wrong. Danks do logging too?
I'm told he does. So,
How can he do a two-man job or whatever?
I don't know. Somebody's got to run the mill too.
Right?
So,
Yeah, this was just a dirt trail when I come up through here. Must be houses, a little shanty up in there. Must be a house up in there.
yeah.
Yeah, who would believe in my lifetime here? All these places, you know. See the gold mine you're sitting on over there, Bill? You want to put wind turbines? Look at the housing development you're gonna have. Dad always told me we should sell that big field for houses, he says. Everybody comes along, oh, beautiful view here, beautiful. I'll have to do something with it someday, Bill. Those big fields up on top, are those all go with skills for the
Yeah.
cell phone?
Yeah.
Well, no wonder Fabius has got mine. They got all these houses, but yet the school tax keeps going up. I was just reading in the tablet last night, National Grid, they're asking for a 20% raise on electric and gas. State. For state, they may haggle it down, but it's New York State, just out of control, just like the federal government, out of control, Bill.
Do you remember any Nichols families living in Fabius?
Sickles,
Nichols.
Nichols, no.
Okay.
I can't know everything, you know.
Okay.
Well, time for me to, what else you want here? Is that enough?
I think it's a pretty good start.